morning.
It looked a little crispy, and I was
It
like,
is crispy.
I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, did you just get a new tattoo? But at the same time,
Why don't you want to be that guy?
well, we've been in these spots many, many times, and if I haven't noticed a tattoo by now, it's kind of like, what? How checked out am I? We're doing a tattoo
Especially when you're
podcast.
staring at that angle on his legs
Exactly.
for an hour.
So
He's
it's
just
like
been here for
every week.
years.
Yeah. That's where I was almost scared to ask, because it's like, no, I've always had this.
Yeah. Jeez.
Oh,
It's my first
well,
tattoo.
I'm just very self-important, and I don't notice anything on anyone else.
If it's not a blackout, I don't notice.
Yeah, maybe get a little bit of black, and then we can start talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will. You just wait, sir.
So you did that on yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Friday. Just trying to get better at line work.
Yeah. You mentioned you didn't want to be like one note, just
No.
using shaders.
I
for
want all the
everything.
notes, man.
Yeah. So any more of those? You were wanting to do more white girl tattoos.
Yep.
Any more of those?
I did one on Sunday, yes.
I seen that
I
little
saw that.
rappy thing.
Yep. It was very white girl.
Yeah. How long?
How long did it take?
Yeah.
It was like an hour and a half.
That's not too
Somewhere
bad.
in
No,
there.
that's reasonable.
Yeah, once I figured out how I wanted it to look, which took like a few leaves, and then it was like, oh, okay, well. So anyways, it was a laurel wreath wrapped, as I describe it, and not saying what it is, but anyways, it's just like a wrap around her forearm.
Gotcha.
And, yeah, did it with some dots. Made it kind of look real.
5-liner lines or 3-liner lines?
3-liner.
3-liner. the whole
3-liner dots.
Through and through.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just stippled.
Dots or stipple?
Stipple.
Oh, sweet. Good.
And then I used some washes too, because I was really messing around with stuff.
You were washing stipple, eh?
Oh yeah, I was all over the
That's-
place.
It comes out messy.
I know. We'll see.
Well,
Went in fine, but we'll see.
That's right. Washing stipple has a time and a place.
Yeah, exactly. That's
But
why it's like we'll see what it
not
looks like.
often.
That's what I
That's
even
at
told her. I was
least
just
you
like, I'm experimenting here,
exactly.
so
Like,
we'll see
you
what
have
goes
that
on.
Understanding. It's not like I'm a 10-year artist. I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Right? I'm just gonna try some stuff
Exactly.
and see what happens. And you're gonna pay me full rates too.
well, my rate's pretty cheap, so worked
Yeah.
out well.
Yeah. What is your rate?
Right now it's 80.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're happy with that at least. It's better
Anything
than
is
nothing,
cool,
right?
man.
Yeah, well, that's
Anything's
it.
sweet. I like
you're
doing
almost
it
like
anyways.
being paid to volunteer in
Yeah.
a way, right? When you're that young in, because
Yeah.
it's not like you have any other option,
Yeah,
right? Like you need to volunteer skin.
yeah. Any amount is like I'm just grateful. You know what I mean?
Have anything else cooked up?
Well, I mean, I'm still working on all the normal stuff I've got going on.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of things on offer, but
Yeah,
they're
just
all like
the-
swinging for the fences kind
The
of projects.
buddies
Yeah,
kind of thing.
pretty well right now.
Well, I seen those giant ones,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Like the giant concepts.
Yep.
And then Lee was posting them. And I
I
was like,
saw that too.
oh God, Kevin's gonna be working on some leg sleeve for 10 years.
I like it though.
Well, just at the point that you're at right now is like, oh wow, that's a big piece.
I like trying to run before I can walk.
Yeah. Well,
Fun.
Well, if someone comes in and they're going to buy one of your sleeves,
yeah.
you just go, well, let's start with this rose
That's the
right
quotation
here.
there. Go on.
What's that?
Nothing.
Quotation marks?
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's not a sleeve when it's still on your iPad.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally understand the approach to it too.
Yeah.
Like that's not happening anytime soon. It's just if you commit to this, we'll get there one day.
Yeah.
Right? Like we
Yeah.
will get there in a way that I can.
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty well.
That said, it's also Lethbridge. A lot of people want the $80 an hour sleeve. So, like, that may legitimately sell.
I know.
Yeah.
That's kind of my
and,
thought.
and he'll do better than most $80 an hour artists in this town, of
hope.
which there are many.
Oh God, I hope so.
While slow and steady is better than just get her in there.
That's right.
Yep.
So
Yep, it's a party.
Or the classic 9-liner wolf,
Oh,
of which
no.
there are many in this town.
Oh, dude.
The,
There's so many
The
things.
traced around a
hashtag
wolf. and then-
nine-liner wolf.
Yep.
Can we make that a hashtag?
Oh, that probably is.
It probably
Yeah.
is. There's some pretty absurd ones. So
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
yeah, my favorite one, just for my own reasons, is nothing finer than a 49er. Because there's only like maybe 80 posts under that hashtag, and they're all funny.
I wouldn't
They're
doubt that.
All like giant mags and doing ridiculous things.
Have you ever seen the? Like, I've only heard tell of this, but I heard of this 49 liner.
I've never seen a 49 liner. I've only seen mags.
What machine is putting in a 49-liner?
That Inkjecta, the Eclipse.
Really?
Apparently, it can push a 49 liner. It says it's rated for up to a 49 liner and up to a 56 mag. which I don't
There's
understand.
some degree of separation between those two
Yes.
ideas.
Is
Yes,
this
there
a
is.
5 mil throw machine
I
or
have
what?
no
Tell you
idea.
what, I'd rather have something magged at 56 than lined at 49.
Yeah. I could
56 is
wholeheartedly
long.
agree.
It just
Smooth
sounds like
shade.
you may as well cut me apart with a sword or something
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, you're
With
just getting
56,
stabbed.
you're only ever touching half of it on the thing at a time, though, because
That's what I
the
always
bevel
wonder
on it
about
would be
those-
so dramatic.
Those
probably actually a
giant
27.
mags.
Yeah.
I mean, like in reality, it's probably a 27, and then you're not touching down with the rest of it.
Yeah.
Well, I always wonder with those giant mag videos. I'm like, what's that going to look like in the end? How does that work out?
But see, the trick is if your mag is wide, and depending what part of the body you're in, it's going to push down in the center. So in theory, you might get a full scoop with it.
Sure,
it needs the center to be lower because the center is going to push so much further than the edges.
The only concern I have is that anything that we've done with small mags has been darker than anything we've done with big mags.
Oh yeah, your saturation is
So
definitely.
I'm like, if you're doing a blackout with like one of these crazy, wacky 100 mags or whatever, I've seen some of these.
You made the smoothest blackout ever, though.
Yeah, but it's gonna be. Is it gonna be lighter? Is what I'm wondering.
I don't know, man.
I would assume a second coat might be necessary.
Yeah, second coat's generally necessary.
Yeah.
But just in terms of like getting the darkest black, like I made a joke to Rick when he was doing the spider eye fill. I was like, can you imagine doing like a 7 mag shader blackout? Like it would be darker in the end, but you chew up the skin so bad by the end of it that who knows how it's gonna heal. So like even though it might be darker in theory, it's not really tenable.
Exactly.
Well, that's that balance of smooth and dark. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Because like, there's no way you're gonna get smooth an arm smooth with a 7 mag.
This is
Yeah.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
that's where it's like, if you theoretically had all the time in the world,
Yeah.
you could just like dot your arm very slowly to like the darkest dark ever.
Well, you'd
Really?
you'd brush in little spots because you could do big sessions, but you'd be getting a lot less done per session, and you're wiping very carefully, you're scrubbing very carefully, you're blacking each spot, and you're watching your overlap, right? Like you're not doing this and then doing this and then doing this and then doing this. You're gonna be overlapping here continually, but this bottom edge is also going to be a bit up and down and in and out so that your overlaps kind of match, and you'll be like very carefully working up to your solid black each time you're working into the old space,
It sounds agonizing.
which you're
to
doing
me.
with a 27 anyway.
Yeah.
But with a 7 mag, it's exaggerated tenfold how much you got to be very perfectly
It's gonna take
careful.
way longer and hurt quite a bit more.
Yeah.
'Cause anything
Yeah,
done
the whole
with
time.
smaller groupings seems
Yeah.
to hurt quite a bit more.
It's
Yeah.
just more specific.
The more painful parts of what I'm doing now are the small mag like black fills that we're doing, like in the mouth, like in between the teeth. That's always the most painful part of the sessions. The
Yeah, of
dotting
course.
is nothing. The lining is minimal. All of that is kind of just eh. And
Yeah.
then when we go to fill those small areas, that's when the pain is the worst. Not that it's been really painful anyway. It's been kind of it's definitely counterintuitive because I was ready for like, oh man, this is gonna suck for all of this, but it's
Well,
been.
It
Really
seems like
easy.
it should. Like, I don't know why I was thinking the exact same thing of just like, this seems like it should be brutal.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh man, I want to do this, but it's gonna suck. And like, I have so many bad memories built up around certain things, and not even just the blackout, but like the first suit. It was just like we relined things so many times because the lines weren't staying in places.
Ooh.
It was, yeah. Well, the skin is really stretchy in some of these spots.
No kidding.
So like even with this, we're gonna do a double line, right?
Yeah.
Like so it's nice and crisp. But it just felt like I was working on that stuff for ages, and it was always just these hot, sweaty days because it seemed like I was always working on my stomach in summer for some reason. And so you're hot, you're sweaty, and you're getting lined on like lines on your stomach, and it's just like ugh, gross.
Yeah. Yeah, this summer especially is so gross.
And your poor artist is trying to stretch your skin super hard, and and the stencil's just dripping
Wouldn't
off
have been
the whole
so
time.
bad, maybe, if I had gone with someone who didn't overpromise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's exactly what happened first time. So now it's like, oh, that just worked.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we're not going to have to redo the entire tattoo
7 times.
7 times. And we're working on a blackout, too,
Yeah.
which is even funnier to me because there are some parts that are going to need some love. But like,
Well, just imagine those artists from, 10 years ago, whenever this was. Imagine them trying to perform a blackout.
yeah, no, actually, that same guy did black out my hand the first
wow.
time. But he was doing it almost like tongue-in-cheek, where I was
Right.
like, I was going to ask Lee to do this, but I figured I'd give you the chance because
Oh,
you worked
yeah.
on this, and I don't want to have Lee do it over your work. And he was kind of like, you want a blackout? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you not happy with that? I'm like, no, I just kind of want to change. Like, it's just not where I'm at, right? I was just wanted a black hand at that point, right? He's like, yeah, I can do that for you. No biggie. And so it's like 2.5 hours on my hand. And it was like,
Which is already
What?
too much
Yeah.
time.
yeah. And
That's already no good.
it
That's
was-
so much
It was
time.
so swollen. My knuckles were like up to here. And then
That's
when
insane.
When they finally,
it should be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Like working in the knuckles.
But that's
all
an
around
extra hour.
fingers.
2.5 hours.
That's an extra hour of
Beating shit up.
stabbing.
2.5 hours might be generous too. It might have been closer to 3.
Oh my
That was
god.
the first time I had a hand blackout. So it's like
that's brutal.
sometime in 2017. I want to say early 2017.
And then it didn't work at all.
Well, so what happened was the whole thing blew up like a Mickey Mouse hand or
Okay.
something, and I couldn't like even get that far. And I didn't do my fingers that day, by the way. This was just the hand.
Oh,
Wait, hang on. So how
wow.
far?
Like I could go like this.
No, like how far did he go down the knuckle?
So to like here. 'Cause, like,
No.
So that should be like
No, that
my
should be an
hand-
hour.
26 minutes.
Well, yeah.
it was from
like with a 7 mag,
it
it
was
should be half an
from,
hour.
like here to here.
That's insane.
That's
thing.
fucked up.
And because I had this flame tattoo up onto my hand, and I just kind of went along that.
Oh yeah, he was
Right.
trying to cover,
Yeah,
and he couldn't.
yeah.
'cause he
it wasn't-
kept seeing
it
the
was
shit
not my
through it.
first hand tattoo.
Yeah,
So
because he kept seeing oranges and yellows glowing through there, and he kept
Yeah.
going over you again.
yeah, it was really bad.
That's wild.
So when it finally all kind of concaved, because that's what it did.
Was he using a round shader?
I don't even know what he was using.
I
but it
bet
wasn't big enough.
he was using a frickin' 9-round shader.
Maybe.
So when
Well,
it
that'd be a
finally
nightmare.
concaved, I had like the inside where the tattoo was done had like flattened out, almost like a deflated balloon. So like the skin opposed to the tattooed area was like higher up. It was weird. It was like
That is very weird,
It
yep.
looked like my fingers were swollen, but they weren't because the skin was just so droopy and like saggy. Mm-hmm. And then when it peeled, there was almost nothing of the blackout left.
Yeah,
it
of
was
course.
just like, oh god.
Yeah.
You could see bits of the old tattoo and like this ashy kind of black in places where it was in there and places where it wasn't, and
Yeah, it's just surface trauma.
It
He's
was
just doing
terrible.
surface trauma over and over and over again.
then that made him angry.
What? That it fell out?
Well, he never said
he
that.
failed?
He never said anything like that. He blamed my aftercare or something,
Right.
but not aggressively. He was just like, "Oh, it must have been like, did you use this stuff?" And I was like, "I've never used that stuff." He's like, "Oh, well, you should use this stuff next time and see how it works." I was like, "Nope, I don't think so."
See ya.
Like, well, it wasn't quite see ya, but it was almost. So I was almost at the end of my time over
Wow.
there. Because, like, I felt bad for him often, as we talked about, where I was
Yeah.
like, he would be tattooing me and being like, just get in that skin. Get in that skin. Like
He's
those-
saying that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not encouraging at all.
Right.
That's very concerning.
That's
Yeah.
a lot. That's scary.
And so when he was doing this, it was like, oh, it's just blackout. Like, he had no respect for blackout
Right,
to begin with.
right.
That's not art.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
told me that many times because we talked about blackout tattoos before I had any. He was like just his opinions on them, and it was always negative. So doing that was well beneath his station, right? So then when it didn't work, it must have been even worse. Like,
Or does his knowledge that he probably can't pull it off influence him into his opinion that, oh, that's stupid and that's not a real type of art?
I don't know if it had anything to do with that. He was one of these guys that he painted And
Oh,
he
okay, wow,
drew,
okay.
And so his art was all over his studio.
Right,
And he
right.
was actually a really good artist.
Okay.
He just wasn't a good technician.
Mhm,
Right?
mhm.
He'd been painting and drawing his whole life.
Yeah, but
and
turns
his
out
stuff actually was pretty cool.
Like, and brush strokes, as much as you need to be very technical to get finer uses of a brush, by all means, you can put paint on the paper with much ease.
Yeah.
With tattooing, it's quite the opposite. It is quite difficult to get it in properly.
I would often come away from a session with him when we were working on the original tentacles and stuff, and I would be thinking, like, if only it was as good as it is in your head. Because, like, he has this amazing imagination and no ability to produce.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't learn the medium.
Because, like,
exactly.
Like, he's an artist, but he didn't learn the medium.
The design was cool.
Yeah.
The application was awful.
Yeah.
Like,
That's weird, though. So he must be at a place where he thinks that he has learned it, and therefore he doesn't go further into the technical.
Artist. That's what he would tell people.
It's
I've been
also
an artist my whole life.
It's also just difficult, and you're coming at this too, Kevin. From I started out using the best machines and best needles. Right. So like, where I'm someone who
you had to go.
I started out using the shittiest machine and the shittiest brands of needles.
Yeah, and it makes it
hard. So I definitely went through lots of phases where like, okay, getting it in the skin is tough. Here we go. We're gonna like make this work.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like I know that I have a very luxurious route in this compared to Ricky talking about soldering his own needles together,
or his shop owner at the time cooking the needles in a baking oven, like a toaster oven. Yeah, is how they sanitize needles.
I don't get it.
That'll sterilize this.
Oh man.
Oh, will it now?
Easy
Go on.
bake tattoo. I like it.
Easy bake tattoo.
Baby's first tattoo machine.
Wonderful.
This is not a ringing endorsement of that product.
No.
We're not in any way sponsored by Easy Bake Tattoo.
Yet.
We're aiming to be.
Yeah. Or we're going to create a company.
But yeah, no, I would often think, if only it was as good as it was in your head. Mm-hmm. If only.
Yeah.
And then I've never, ever seen that guy work on anything the same scale as he did on my torso ever again.
Some people can't see in that size.
Yeah. Well,
is he still here in town?
Yeah. I seen him post.
He's 4 blocks from us.
I seen him post. I think they moved.
Really?
I don't know where they went.
We got to learn sign language so we can like chat during the podcast.
I seen him post a tattoo for the first time because I have him as a friend on Facebook. Still, for some reason, I don't know how he hasn't taken me off, but I never ever go on there.
Wait,
so
4 blocks that way, 4 blocks that way.
I don't know.
It was 4 blocks that way.
Okay,
but I don't know where they are now
anymore. But they were 4 blocks that way.
Fair.
Anyway, he posted something that was like, again, looked cool, but like I could see it differently than I used to. Because like now I can see exactly what it's going to look like in a week.
You know how his stuff heals.
Yeah. So
yeah,
like
totally different game.
And because I have more insight myself, just at looking and judging tattoo work. I, as a consumer before, I didn't have as much of my own insight, right? So I would see that and go, oh, and that's what it looks like, and that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
But now it's like that washy gray thing that looks like it's 20 years old and healed is done today.
That's
while the design is cool, the lines are not very dark.
This rolls right back into 9-liner wolf. So 9-liner wolf is done in a very similar technique. Well, except the 9-liner wolves I've seen, those lines are in there because you're riding the tube and you're banging that line in. But once the lines are done, what comes next? The shading, right? Because in a crappy shop, the shading is just the shading.
The shading.
And you get your 9-liner out and a light gray wash, and you just start doing circles. Just weird circles.
I know all about weird circles.
And it's not even next to the line, and it heals after 2 weeks. It looks like it's 20 years old.
That's what kept happening to my
stuff. Except the lines are black. The lines are black, and the shading is cloudy and confusing and still a bit red somehow. I don't understand.
Yeah.
So I saw lots of those.
Yeah,
so I'm sure that's the same line you're talking about there.
Same.
And just the line that I would always hear him give people was, I'm a 20-year artist. Like, which was misleading, right? I would see him giving people this sales pitch, and it was like, yeah, why don't you tell them that you've only been tattooing for a year, and you didn't really finish your apprenticeship? Why didn't you tell them that part?
Well, that doesn't sound as cool.
It doesn't sound as cool, right?
Yeah.
And what he's saying isn't a lie,
Yeah.
but it's also giving people
It's
the
also
wrong
not the
idea.
truth.
And he's an older gentleman, so
So it lines up.
it looks like he looks like an old tattoo guy, right? Like he's got that look.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I could see this guy's been tattooing since the 90s.
Yeah.
Which is not a compliment.
Yeah.
In retrospect, that's a very bad thing.
It is, but it just all mapped on into a really dangerous situation, I think. Where it's like, you go in there expecting to have this veteran guy who's been around, and instead you're getting, a guy with barely any knowledge base.
Working on his own, not
And
progressing.
a whole lot
Yelling
of
at your
opinion.
skin while he's tattooing.
Get in there. Get in there.
Get in that skin. Well,
Get
that would be
in
like
that
late
skin.
into like a 5-hour session on my wrist or something.
Oh,
And
just
we're
that
still
word.
going.
Those words. 5-hour session on my wrist.
Yeah.
What could that be?
Yes.
What could that be?
Yesterday, I did a 5-hour session on an inner forearm, and
Yeah.
it was
No,
a
no,
wolf
this was-
and clouds and 3 baby wolves and a log.
Yeah.
It was
Which
this
was
big.
dope, by the
This
way.
Yeah,
was-
the guy was 6'4".
The wrap of like this to here
Okay.
of color.
Okay, fair enough. Front and backs.
That can be 5 hours.
Frontsies, backsies. I'm fine with that.
It was a lot. Like, I was getting tired by the end of it.
I would have been tired
Skin
by the
was
start of it.
Pretty overworked.
Yeah.
That cuffing that happened wasn't quite right.
Yeah, you probably narrowly escaped a lot of infections.
I'm surprised I've only had 2
Yeah.
in my entirety of...
Especially within the job that you have. Like,
Yeah.
that's wild.
That's a great point. The job that I have, I never thought I would have sleeves even because
Yeah.
of it.
I
I was
know.
like, I'm not going to bother with sleeves because I'm going to have infection. I'm going to have all kinds of problems.
Yep. You get
And then you
grease
did it
burns
anyway.
or whatever and
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah,
I'm
I get-
picturing you with a rubber glove duct taped to your arm.
No, I don't do anything like that.
Cool.
But I almost never burn or cut myself.
You just
anymore.
dab some garlic butter out of the thing and you rub it on there.
Well, no.
That's for flavor.
So it's been probably 9 or 10 years since I've even cut myself.
Right, right.
I get little burns, but I haven't burned myself in
Yeah.
not as long either. When you're young,
It happens all the time.
You're doing it all the time.
Yeah.
I cut the tip of my finger off like 3 times when I was a young cook. I've done all kinds of like little nicks and like full-on slices.
I've had so many friends with like a spatula mark right here.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I've got grooves in my hands from knives and spatulas, like the thick callus around the tops of my fingers from holding knives and spatulas for
I bet.
17 years or whatever it's been. The worst thing I ever did with a fresh tattoo as a cook was I was warming up some cheese sauce, and some of the cheese sauce spilled over the top of the insert onto my like healing hand tattoo and just like melted the top layer of skin off.
Ugh.
And I still had enough like wherewithal in me to go, set it down, don't drop it. 'Cause
That's
if
right,
I
that's
drop
right.
it, it's gonna get all over me.
Put it right here.
Right.
So
So I
get some
was,
cold water.
oh shit. But I set it down. I wasn't out of my mind. But
good.
I felt like it. But like, yeah, it just destroyed that tattoo.
Yeah.
And then Lee, being the kind sage he is, 2 weeks later, he was already touching it up.
Wow.
It wasn't the best way to go about that.
No, when you have a compound injury, like a burn on a tattoo, maybe wait a month.
You heal fast, right?
Yeah.
It all healed fine. I didn't get any kind of an infection from
Well,
that.
that's
That's when I had the red hand, the spawn,
Yep.
where I had the red all the way up to here.
Oh wow. Cool.
I had that done 4 times. So that's
Well, red is the hardest to pack.
it was
Well,
so
besides
solid.
purple.
My hand there was no
Nice.
dropout in that by the end.
Nice.
He was like, "Well, we'll keep working on it. We'll get it solid." Because like the first time we did it, you could see the skin. Second time, and I had another old tattoo that he covered while he was there too. My first hand tattoos, which were like these kapow star things. They looked like like I know.
I know.
When you
Oh, I
smack
know.
someone in a comic
When you said
book.
kapow, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like, can you even imagine the amount of tattoo sessions this gentleman has had?
No,
Like,
no.
I get tattooed fairly frequently. This is just,
It's way beyond
and
that.
I don't know why today it's striking me as So, but I
whenever
just
I
I
get into
forget
telling the
about
old
all
stories.
I just forget about all the other tattoos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just totally forget that they happened.
The layer on layer of
Yeah.
tattoos.
The
Yeah.
times where you were 3 a week.
Yeah, I was
Like-
doing 3. So I did a whole bunch of stories last week of just old tattoos that I found because I was like, I'll go looking through my history. Maybe I'll make a story thing. And there was one where I had that little guy done on my backside ankle.
Yeah. Another one.
I did that tattoo the same day as I did another leg tattoo, and they were at different shops.
What are we doing?
But I had a tattoo that same week on Saturday, so that was a Friday. I did 2 tattoos that day. Then I got a tattoo by Evan over here on another part of my leg. And then earlier that week, I had a session with Lee. So that week, I had 4 tattoos in 4 days.
Oh my god.
And one of them was on the same leg. Or 2 of them were on the same leg, 2 hours apart. So I got done that tattoo, went and got a booster juice, and then walked over to the other place, unwrapped that leg, and did another tattoo
When
on that
people talk
leg.
about being addicted to tattoos,
Yeah, they don't know.
they don't understand.
They're like, every 6 months I get one. I don't understand.
I was on the quest,
I like the
man.
voice.
It was like I was on the journey, and I had a lot of time to make up for.
Yeah.
And the thing was, I had no struggle for ideas. It was
Yeah, of
like,
course.
oh yeah, I want this thing. Oh, I have this. I want to get this thing because I wanted all these things for years.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like now I'm just putting it together, right?
Yeah.
for a week,
Yeah, and I had the money for it too.
which is crazy.
Yeah, I had more than enough. I was doing all of that and still, I was still climbing up. My bank account was getting higher.
That's what happens when you have no other vices.
Yeah, I had
fair.
no vices, and at that time my wage was really strong. Like it was like before the crazy hike that happened. So
Yeah.
I was making like twice minimum wage. and
Nice.
Still getting that tip share, and I had a bonus still. And, like it was just like,
And Big Macs weren't $12.
well, yeah. Without what the big change was, I wasn't with the toxic women anymore. So
Right.
I'm just focusing on me now. And it's like, okay, now I can get some shit done.
Yeah.
And
Remy's got goals. Let's get her done.
now I couldn't afford that anymore. I can honestly say if I was to do that lifestyle in 2021, I would not last more than a few months.
No.
So that's not because tattoos are more expensive. It's because everything else is.
Yeah.
Tattoos
Legitimately.
got a little more expensive.
Yeah, like I
Not-
mean,
not
depending
gonna
on
be that
where you
much.
are, like
Yeah.
if you're in Calgary,
then
they're
dramatically
insane.
so. Yeah.
But like, still, for like the average median income out there,
But everything
probably-
else has come up.
Yeah.
commensurate.
So like every single thing that I'm paying for is more expensive than it was to a
Yeah.
point where it doesn't allow me that free.
That's right.
What's wild is like, it's kind of everywhere in town here. Seems to be right hovering around the same.
Tattoo shops?
Yeah.
There's a bit of an unwritten rule
I
in
mean,
this city.
Yeah.
you say that, but there's a ton of tattoo shops where people are charging $80 or $100 an hour.
Well,
Whereas our new apprentices charge that for the first month.
yeah, but I'm saying like shops. You know what I mean? Like there's shops and then there's shops,
Okay, yeah.
and I'm
Gotcha.
saying more the
decent
shops.
jobs. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
There's a lot of nuance in
It's
this. though.
it's all 160 to 200 an hour.
yeah. Well,
I
I don't know.
was-
I don't know anyone in town that's 200.
I
Unless
assume,
maybe
I assume Amir's got to be.
Amir does by the project. I'm pretty sure.
That makes sense.
I haven't
'Cause
seen
he's
anything
fast.
he's done
That's
in
the
a
thing.
long
He's
time.
crazy.
He's
fast.
super fast.
Yeah.
But
Which would put him above $200 an hour.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
You
mean,
know
if
what
you
I
were to
mean?
measure it out hourly, for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would be all over the pay scale, different places, because I was going to several shops.
That's
at that
right.
Time.
Well, and you have special prices with each one because you go the
With
time.
different people, I had different deals. It
Yeah.
felt like so.
Yeah.
Like I was getting a pretty good deal with Lee. I got a better deal in the end with Lee. Like he just kept getting. He gave me free tattoos sometimes. Even
Crazy.
yeah, there were times when he was just like, "This is a gift to you for this
Cool.
reason."
Wow.
Like, and I wasn't expecting or asking that. I
yeah.
never
Incredible.
would think that. He would be that
That's
way
Lee, man.
sometimes.
That's
sick.
Lee. And like that was one
This
of
is
the
a
things
wedding
that's
gift, that kind of
Cool.
thing.
that was one of the things that was difficult about
Oh, for
being
sure.
the front end person. I'm sure Rayleigh goes through the same thing out there, but now they have kind of more set pricing for him. But like everyone
I think he's
falls
being
into the friends and
managed a bit
family.
more these days.
Well, because I've been telling him this for years, because like I would see these things go out the door and it would be like, oh, $200, whatever. And it's like, well, hang on. Like, that, like, something has to have value on the street, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't, and it's one of the reasons that you have hourly rates that make sense around town in shops. Because then if you're walking around and you go, hey, where'd you get that done? Oh, I got this done here. It was $200. That's all of a sudden it's like,
you just fucked us.
Yes, 100%.
Hourly doesn't make sense.
No, it really doesn't. He'd be like if you're actually charging hourly, he'd probably be $350, $400 an hour.
Yeah,
sometimes more.
If to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Because you can get a complete portrait in that time.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that anywhere else cheaper.
There was a dude who booked in for, when I was out in Kelowna, I can't remember what it was, but it was like this calf piece. It was kind of like a beach scene. Lots of negative space. Really swift
bread
tattoo
and butter stuff
to run through. And like the guy had like booked in for the day.
Yeah.
And it was an hour and a half. It was an hour and a half.
I think even sometimes Lee would look at a piece and think it would take him longer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would see him go, oh, this will probably be 2 or 3 hours. And I started to go, oh, so 45 minutes.
Yes, 100%.
Right? Like he underestimated himself.
Yeah. I got to the point with like getting tattooed by Lee where all of a sudden my understanding of what I should be doing in terms of patience was way off. Like with anyone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like because I got so used to being like, oh, I'm going to be here for an hour. And like half my arm's going to be done. Like it's just...
It had its pros and cons for me when I was working with. I had in rotation 5 or 6 artists that I was working with, and by the end of my relationship to any of those artists in question, we were into the double digits of sessions.
Yep.
So like I knew them all pretty well.
Spent time.
Yeah, I had developed relationships with everyone I was working with to some extent, and so I was kind of like getting a wide range of people's techniques and the way they would approach projects and stuff. And what was always interesting to me is, there was one artist that was really on and off. Like I get a really good tattoo one time and a really bad one another time. And that person ended up being the most expensive to work with because, and it wasn't her fault. It was the shop she worked at was very, very rigid. Like they weren't doing any deals. And if anything, they rounded up the clock.
Yep.
So if we were going 2 hours and 15 minutes, that sounds like 2.5 hours. That doesn't sound like 2. Sir doesn't sound like an hour and a half. There were places where it's like, yeah, you did 2 hours. I'll charge you an hour. I like you. You know what I mean? Like I had that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of the way that it should be. You're trying to encourage repeat business, right?
You should be.
You don't want to just overcharge and then be one and done.
And you don't have to do it all the time.
No,
Because
of
it's
course.
the same thing as like if you're going to tip, it's like, well, here's an $80 tip. It's like, but next time maybe it's $10.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's whatever you're at that point.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But that's like one of those things with, I don't understand that kind of like cash grab mentality for anything. It reminds me of like those like con artist sales guys where it's like, oh, I'm gonna really screw this guy over, and it's like, oh, okay, so you sell one thing to one person and then he badmouths you to everyone.
Yeah, you're gonna lose out in the end.
Yeah,
Well, that's why it's a traveling salesman.
Well,
He's in the next town already.
But I mean, like those happen here.
Well, I'm
those happen
here.
at stores.
Yeah.
Where it's just like they're trying to pull one over on customers, and it's like I don't understand that that. I think it's like a famine mentality of thinking when it comes to these things, where it's just like, oh no, I'm going to charge you as much as I can, and guarantee that you're never going to come back to me.
Well,
like unless you're actually trying to get that person to not come back to you.
I was guilty of that a couple times. It was probably 3 weeks ago. It was my first week or second week back from the last lockdown.
I ripped the guy off real bad. And it felt great.
Well, no, I had a week where I just had taken a bunch of little small pieces on.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I spent a bunch of time drawing these pieces. So suddenly I'm tattooing them, a piece I'm super stoked on, super proud of, and suddenly it's like I spent 2 hours drawing this.
Yeah.
And I tattooed it in an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah. You got to remember your
I'm
speed is high.
Yeah, so I'm still going to charge her 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one time where it was like, I rounded up and I don't feel good about it. But But it's like an hour and a half doesn't represent what I did for you here. Like, I'm fucking sorry, lady.
That's where it makes
she was
sense or it
chilling,
doesn't,
obviously,
right?
but
yeah. And that's where, like, again, you're kind of pretty close to a place where it would make more sense to be charging by the piece for you.
It's getting there.
Yeah, because, like, realistically, if you're going to do a full forearm.
Well, there were times, like yesterday, I was doing a piece, and there were times where, like, this is definitely a full day charge worth of tattoo.
Yeah.
And there were times where it was like, I might finish 45 minutes early and not make my day's wage because I was a bit too quick doing the tattoo in a fucking fine manner.
Yeah, I know. That's the hard thing for people to equate. There was a guy on, I think it's like kind of popular on Instagram right now, but it's this dude talking about. He's like a logo design person, marketing kind of guy, and he was talking about the difference between charging by the hour or charging by the project. Yeah, and he basically is just trying to explain that, like, so say something takes you 10 hours to complete. Yeah, then you're going to charge $80 an hour, and so it's going to cost you $800. Well, you got this piece done, and it's worth this $800 to you if I'm going to take it 10 hours.
That's right.
Why? If I am more efficient, do I get hurt?
Of course.
If I do that same job and get you that same project, but I happen to do better and time management and I just have an inspired idea and I get it done in an hour, why does that cost me a tenth to get it to you faster?
That's right.
Like, you're paying for a product. And that's one of those things that, like, is
especially
difficult for
this time where you don't want to suffer for longer if you don't have to.
Oh man.
Right?
That's like a thank God if they're done quicker, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
well, in most
exactly.
Cases, yeah, like, why would you want to prolong the torment?
Well, and you see that with I've seen a number of pieces come through where, like, from other places where they're like, oh yeah, I sat for 9 hours on this thing and it's like this big, and it's just like, okay, well, so they sat you there for 9 hours. This did not need to take 9 hours.
Oh yeah,
they wanted 9 hours worth of your money.
So the other end of the spectrum, though, which we've all seen, is, okay, yeah, here's your tattoo. It's going to be $736 for this, and here we go.
It's a very particular number.
And you sit down. Well, we charge very particular numbers nowadays with the GST on top.
It's very strange.
It is very strange. I still find it quite strange, yes. Yeah. So all of a sudden you sit down to this tattoo. It's going to be, $736, and your artist sits down. And they're a bit hungover, and they're stoked to go home, and they got too much.
That's always the best.
Whatever.
They got too much going on, and they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna get this done as fast as I can, so I can get out of here." Not posting this one. Goodbye.
This isn't my finest work.
Yeah.
So
it's a double-edged sword.
There are risks both ways.
Yeah. And that's where integrity kind of has to come into place.
And where I'm a newer artist too, I wouldn't want to put myself into a place where speed is an increasingly important factor.
No, yeah.
Like right now, I still find myself wanting to get a good pace.
That's encouraged pace.
A good pace actually gives a better tattoo.
Yes.
You spend too long mucking around here,
and that's not just for you. That's also for the canvas to know too.
100%.
Oh, of
if you
course.
don't maintain a good
That's a
pace, it's
two-way
unnecessarily painful. Either way, right? Like if you're rushing through and you're scraping, that's unnecessarily painful.
Tattoo's gonna heal worse.
Yeah. And then if you're going too long, you do too many breaks, then all of a sudden the area starts getting more sensitive.
I'm talking pace, even in the speed of where you're tattooing, right? Because I can choose whether I want to slow down or speed up, right? And once you hit a good pace, you're at a point where you're like, I don't want to slow down or speed up. This is going
rhythm.
just right, and that's when the skin's going to heal the best. That's when you're going to hit those midtones and move on. That's when you put those solid blacks in, and they're right and in the right spot, and you move on. Yeah. And that's better for your client's skin. That's better for the flow of the piece. It's better for a lot of reasons. So if you're trying to rush faster than that flow speed, you're going to lose something. If you're trying to slow down below that flow speed, you're also going to lose something.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, you just lean into whatever your rhythm is.
That's right.
And that's like I said, twofold. Because I think when you're trying to get coverage, like, especially when I did my first tattoos, it was like, I don't want a good pace. I want the fastest pace. Do more.
Yeah, do it
What
all.
do you mean we're done? Like, I would always be like, I can go longer.
Yeah.
I could go all day. I'll be here tomorrow if you want me. Like, it was just like, I wasn't enjoying a slow pace. I wanted it as fast as possible. And now I want it as slow as possible in a way. Like, I don't want to be making no progress, but I want to slow down and get everything right.
Yeah.
Like, that comes from going through that enough I think, for me, where it's like the faster you go doesn't always translate to the better you go.
No,
right?
no, not they don't always walk hand in hand.
Not
But like
at all.
I told Rick when we started my torso, for example, it's like I want to work on this year.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't want to do this fast.
Yeah.
And I keep reaffirming that too.
Yeah.
Like
Which
I
is right
keep-
up his alley, really.
Oh,
But
That's
I
right
know
for him.
I'm working with the perfect guy to do something like
Exactly.
that. But
Yeah.
I keep reaffirming, like, okay, after we get, because like I'm coming up with like the next idea and the next thing and the next, like I've got like, I probably got the next 8 sessions in my head of kind of what we could do.
Yep.
And so that's at least, 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts us where October,
Yep.
right? And from there, there's going to be way more to do.
Well, you guys are actually moving faster than I thought you were.
Yeah.
Just because stuff is doing what it's supposed to.
Yeah,
I
things aren't
assumed there
taking
was things-
second sessions like you'd expect it to.
Yeah, I was assuming there was going to be issues.
There's going to be a few spots that we're going to go back to.
Yeah.
But that's, we kind of learn as we go, right? Like we figured out the double line when we got to the 3rd or 4th tentacle. So those
Yep.
first couple tentacles probably should be double lined too.
Do you think you'll run a line of silver or even a little shade of silver around the tentacles to make them
What I'm
stand forward in
thinking-
space a bit?
What I'm thinking is, because I've been mapping this out quite a bit now, I think that we get the core pieces in there, and then we're going to do some weird silver like background elements, kind of push the black on black pieces
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think is going to happen. I haven't pitched that idea to Rick, but so far everything I've pitched to him, he's been right on board for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
oh yeah.
Because I'm starting to like, my thoughts on what's possible are maturing as we go. So I don't want to commit to anything early and then we learn some new trick and then while we screwed that up, we could have done it this way, right? So I like the way that we've done this, where we mapped out all of the pieces and then we filled those and we're like, oh, we'll put a piece of red here and then that works, and then it's like, oh, okay, we can do this.
One piece of red.
And then one piece of silver, and oh, look how well that works. And it's like, okay, we can do this.
Yep.
Right? So it's like, I wouldn't have thought that at the start. So thankfully we didn't build this all with, all we're going to be able to do is black.
Yeah.
Right? If we had started that way, we probably would have ended up in a worse end zone, I guess.
Yep.
So piece by piece is working really well.
I'm really interested to see if you guys get into, like, say your silvers and things like that. I wonder what it'll be like if you do bigger mags for silvers.
To
'Cause, like,
create shading.
Yeah. Because like
I'd
using
still do like a 9 mag personally.
fair.
But like, I think that it's not unrealistic to assume that we might get into that level of complexity.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we're already approaching more and more complexity as this is going on.
Yeah. Well, just the fact that silver goes in like that and stays like that, all of a sudden that's like an entirely different realm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that possibility is totally different.
For 6 months or 6 years.
So that's what we'll
knows?
find
That's
out,
the question.
though, right?
That's-
Yeah.
Because
that's
this
the
is a
thing.
long project.
That's right.
So
which is
it's-
why going slow. You're not looking to have your whole body done and then find out it heals out in 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're
Exactly.
looking to slowly work into it and see what works.
Yep. And
It's cool.
the oldest pieces that we've done black on black are from last October. We did the filigree lines.
Yep.
Yep.
And they're still
And
there.
and I thought the neck and hands were first.
No, the filigree lines came first.
Yeah. Oh,
We
cool.
were tying up the shoulder area, and I was like, I don't want to just keep blacking out to my back, because
Yeah.
then we're just going to be doing a hamster wheel thing. By the time we finish this, we'll be doing the legs, then the legs will be done, we'll be back up here blacking out again, right? Like, it's just going to,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
isn't going to end. It's never going to end if we keep doing this, because I'm going to keep going. It could be darker, right? It could be this.
If we never
It could-
stop, we just won't stop.
Never stop. Never
So I
stop.
was like, a more interesting idea is to instead just build this filigree thing on my back. And so we went with that, and then all of a sudden it's like, let's do something on my hand. Let's do something on this hand. And I was like kind of teasing it, like, let's see how much of this he's okay with. Because he's been doing this a long time. It's sometimes hard to do something new, I think.
Well, like that's one of the things that we were talking about with this blackout thing, because he doesn't particularly want to do more black work.
Yeah.
Because it's not like people are going to come in here and say, "Hey, I want to do this. Like, this is super rare, right?
Right.
A majority of people right now are going to be like, okay, I either want negative space floral or negative space something, or I want black, or I want a little bit of white on black. It's very rarely going to be this like adventure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think this is only new and fresh for so long, too.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Like, we'll exhaust that, and then it's just going to be rinse and repeat eventually.
I don't know. I mean, it'll be rinse and repeat for you. It'll still be pretty rare for the world.
It's a pretty special
No, I don't
taste,
mean
really.
culturally. I just mean, like, for he and I,
Yeah.
working on it, it will get to a point where it's like, oh, okay, well, we're doing this again.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
normal.
Yeah, like I feel like by the time we get to my sleeves, it'll be at that point of we know what works, and now we're just going to do the things that work and not waste time with things that don't. Because I do expect we're going to run into something that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm not thinking, oh, nothing is impossible. It's like we're going to do something that we think it will work, and it's not going to work. I'm waiting for that to happen.
I just still can't get over the idea that silver looks like that and white looks like that.
It's completely different.
It's so weird to me.
And this is like the same as it was right when it healed. It hasn't really degraded any.
No.
So the silver just looks like 10 times better.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
It's like, why is that a thing?
It makes no sense.
Scientifically, I'm so also hand versus body.
Sure.
Sure.
That's very different skin to work with.
Sure.
That is true, but I'm thinking that if I put silver on this, it looks better than it does now.
I think today is the day.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Well, there's no tattoo today.
Oh, what?
No. Unfortunately, I'm on my off week.
Oh, you're every second week now. Oh, I support that.
doing
That makes
like
sense.
He's doing two on, one off.
2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off. Gives
Because
me
every second week is not enough.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
every third week would be too much.
Trust me, it feels even now like I really want to get tattooed today. I don't feel exhausted by it.
Yeah.
It's just I should be trying to be a little more responsible than I am.
Meanwhile, I get tattooed like 5 times a year, you know?
Man, I will say I've got the itch right now.
Well, you just did that.
As soon as I did this, then like I started working on the lower section of it, in the drawing, and it was just like, oh, I want to do that right now. I was like, damn it, I gotta wait.
What about
is
your
it?
new
Is that the
tattoo
lion
from
skull?
Yeah.
the Shop Apprentice?
Sorry?
You just got a new tattoo from the Shop Apprentice.
Yeah, pretty well.
So you're actually going faster than I think you realize. I see it maybe more than you do.
Faster how?
Tattooing, like
Oh yeah,
doing
I'm
more than
always a sprinter. Sometimes it gets me into trouble, but
I know a little about that.
yep.
Which, speaking of which, I met your head tattoo friend.
Oh, did you? Good.
Yeah, I met him last week. I was
Sweet.
paying Rick. You
You can
knew
see,
all about me right
You can
away.
see when he sees someone else with like head and face
And he
tattoos.
was
He's
really,
like,
really interested.
oh, of course he is.
Like, he was aggressively
He's like
interested
half the
in
size
me.
he was.
He's
What happened
he
there?
Lost, like,
Yeah, I
80
thought
pounds.
he was bigger.
He quit drinking alcohol and sugar.
Yeah.
Because, like, I
That
think
makes
I'd
sense.
seen a picture
Damn.
of him and thought,
Yep.
yeah, he's a chunky boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an entirely like. What's weird about that is like that is inflammation.
Yeah.
Like that's
he
what
was
he
puffed
lost.
up like the Michelin Man.
Yeah. And then just no inflammatory things and.
Well, he lost like he actually had some weight on him too.
Oh yeah.
So,
No, I'm
he
just
burned
saying
a lot of
like
stuff off.
that's huge.
No, so when I met him at the other shop, he was getting tattooed by Buddy, and he was by everybody there. He was getting tattooed by all of us, and he was just an alcoholic. He was smoking all the weed, doing a bunch of other drugs, all the alcohol, whatever. And then when he started coming to see me here, he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm off the liquor." I'm like, oh shit. Because he was, he's drinking 20 Bud Lights a day or something.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's like, yeah, I'm actually, there's no darts, there's no liquor. He smokes weed now and eats edibles and lives a more normal lifestyle. That's it.
That's great.
Yeah. And he's just like,
I love seeing that.
And the lifestyle changes are so pervasive throughout his whole life where he's like, yeah, the girls I used to hang out with, can't stand them now. They're
Yeah, of
pieces of
course.
shit.
Yeah, because you're sober.
I was drunk and they seem normal
Your
at the time.
thought process changed.
Yeah,
right?
but now like I'm looking for something so much different than I was looking for before.
Yeah.
And he's just having this he's having this whole coming to terms with life itself now that he's taking some control over some shit.
Yeah. It's becoming a
you
man.
start seeing the things
Yeah.
you can accomplish, and then you go, what else can I fix?
That's right. And now he's starting an apprenticeship a block away.
Oh, I think I know where you mean.
Yeah.
It's not good.
way.
It's not ideal.
Dude.
There's too many tattoo artists in the city.
It's something
That
else.
was their bread and butter for all of them.
It's interesting.
Lord,
You were their
man.
sacrificial lamb.
It's just so ridiculous to me.
It's preposterous.
Yeah. It is
I
silly.
don't get it.
And also, I don't get why. So, like, I understand why so many people want to be a tattoo artist. I get it.
Yep.
But it's
But-
hard work.
I guess because I've been around it so much, I've never necessarily had the interest. Because it's not like I couldn't have done something similar to what you just said about he's apprenticing over there.
Yeah.
I've had
yeah.
people offer it to me before.
Of course.
It's just that's not what I would do in this industry. I'd rather be a piercer. But that's harder to come by.
It's a tougher industry, in my opinion.
Well, it's a tougher
Yeah.
thing to learn.
It's like anything.
Well, how do you get the skill?
By doing an apprenticeship.
How many places need a piercing apprentice?
In big, high-traffic cities.
Yeah, as I
lots.
said, there's only one place here that even or two places here that even pierce.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
one
like-
is an apprentice that has no master,
Exactly.
which is wild to me.
exactly.
I would never ever go over here.
I know.
Ever.
That scares the
There
shit
now.
out of me.
I think they moved.
No.
No.
This is the one he's talking about.
Right here. I would never ever go
They
over
pierce
there.
too. Also, there's 3 piercers in town.
Shrieked at by a
This one,
crazy old
this
lady.
one, and
I think this one.
She's
this
not
one, and
doing
this
it
one.
anymore.
oh
though.
no way,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
The bright, colorful one over here. Yeah.
I didn't know they did that.
I think they pierce. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. All that I knew is that's the only one I'll send them to.
Yeah.
If anyone's
yeah,
inquiring,
yeah.
that's the
Well,
only
yeah,
one.
because they have an actual piercer. Yeah.
Yeah. Until
Hey.
this guy gets his shit together.
The woman, the actual piercer.
Yeah, you're
there,
gonna own the piercing industry. In
Oh,
this
dude,
town.
you will destroy. Well, 2 businesses.
the actual piercer that you just mentioned there has done a few piercings for me over the years.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I know her pretty well.
Yeah, no, she's
a
good.
really cool lady.
Yep.
And also the guy who trained her was trained by the guy who pierced me way back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've had a few piercings by him. So there's a lineage to that
Yeah.
shop.
But that's
Even
the way it's
though they're
supposed to be.
not-
Master apprentice thing,
Yeah,
right?
even though they're not like doing like the APP stuff and
Yep.
like super high grade, they're legit piercers.
Yeah.
At least.
the mechanics of what they're doing
Yeah.
is decent.
Yeah, and I like them too.
Yeah.
So, that
So when I go to
helps.
Kelowna in September, are you coming?
I was going to ask you today actually if you were planning on going anytime soon.
I am
Oh, I'll be
about
going.
to plan an actual trip.
Because
Yeah.
I haven't taken time off work in a long,
Okay,
long
cool.
time. I haven't taken time off since it was forced time off the
Yeah.
first lockdown.
Yeah.
I've been like, pedal to the metal.
well, because during a pandemic, what are you gonna do? You're just like,
And
well,
6
I guess
days
I go
a
to
week.
work now.
And we're open now, and there's all kinds of annoying problems again, and bad staff issues, and just general stupidity, and it keeps making me think, hurry up, Kevin.
I was just having this conversation the other day.
I'm not
It's
kidding. Like,
I
this
just
week-
realized that Jeremy's life is on hold because I'm taking too long.
No, it's not. It's not that. Because like I would be cooking anyway, right?
Yeah.
But like this week, I've been saying in my head a lot, and to my one other coworker, I bring up sometimes Vince.
Yeah.
My buddy Vince. I've been saying to him like, "Hurry up, Kevin!
Mm-hmm.
Like hurry," because this week has been a hard one for me.
Yeah.
Just because I've been on my own for so long in there, and I've been making good money on my own.
Yeah, of course.
There were times when I was actually making a little bit more money during the lockdown because the tip share worked differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was almost
You're
like,
getting 100% kitchen tip out.
yeah, well, and the way we split it was 50-50 front and back.
Nice.
So there was one girl up front, one in the back. So everything was cut down the line. So I was walking out of there with a fistful of money sometimes.
Sweet.
Because we stayed kind of busy.
Yeah.
And I can be busy on my own perfectly fine. What I hate is when now we have everyone back, all the bad employees have come back,
Yeah.
and they're making my life a living hell, and things are gross, and our skip score has dropped down a bit already, and just different things have been irritating. Like one guy has been sick like 6 times since we've been open, and it's all kinds of stuff.
For what,
that-
3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Two sick days a
He
week?
hit a cutting board hit his leg, and he's been out of action.
Man, could you imagine being that?
No,
He's
no.
like 30 years old
Like-
and about to have a kid.
Well,
You've worked with
Kids
me
having
for
kids.
You've worked with me for a year and a half now. What's my track record for being at work on time?
100,000%.
Guess what? That's been my entire life. Yeah.
Well, my work, like being at work, I've only been sick twice in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And they were both tattoo infections. So when I called my boss / coworker Daryl,
Yeah.
when I got my first infection, I called him at 4 in the morning when I had green ooze dripping down my hand, my skin melting off, and I told him, I'm like, I don't think I can work today. And he was like, he said to his wife, I'm going to go to work, you call an ambulance, Jer's sick, right? Because I'm never, ever out.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't take time off.
Call an ambulance.
Yeah, well, they were worried I was dying.
Yeah.
And then later, like when I was talking to him about it, I was like, yeah, no, my skin was melting off my hand. And the only reason why I didn't go to work was because I was like, I can't get that in someone's food.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Thank
for the
God.
pain of it, I could have worked through the pain of
Sorry,
it.
my flesh is sloughed off into your souffle.
Well, I'll
It's
hear
flavor.
like someone will be like, oh, my back is sore. I didn't sleep well or something like that at work.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, just assume that everyone has a sore back.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Exactly.
Everyone I see, I'm like, oh, that person's probably fucked, right? Like, because I'm always a little groggy. I assume that's what being an adult is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
I had a weird,
what I mean?
I had a weird poop this morning too. I still came to work.
So
Like
when people
whatever.
are like, my back is sore, my feet hurt, like that kind of shit. I'm like, if you ever see me, just assume I'm in some kind of pain. Especially when I was getting tattoos.
You
like
do sound like an adult.
Yeah.
3 or 4 times a week, and it's like you'll never hear me complain about it. So I'm sitting here and I'm probably in pain in 4 places, and some of it is immense, and you'll never hear me say anything about it. So when people are complaining about like, oh, I have this thing, it's like, man, you've had a really fucking easy life or something.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Like, what the fuck? But yeah, anyway, this week has been a bad time. This week has been a bad time. And all I've been thinking is, hurry up, Kevin.
Dude, I get it. I feel the pressure.
I'm not trying to pressure you.
I don't just get it from you, though.
Oh, I know.
So here's the thing: I'm not going there
I
until
was seeing
September.
Lee posting those stories. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's aggressive.
Yeah.
And I could feel his mindset when he was doing that. It was like he was trying to chase you into it.
Yeah.
You know, like fire under your ass now,
Yeah.
Kevin. Look at this.
Yeah. Like I told him what I was doing, like tattooing last week or whatever. Very, very few tattoos, but a couple.
Yeah.
And he was just like, his response was just, yeah, you need to have more time. Or like more time tattooing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know, man. I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
I know. I could feel it, and we didn't even talk about it, but I could tell the mindset he was in when he did that.
Yeah.
Because he's a very purposeful guy.
Oh, yeah,
He doesn't
yeah.
like when he's doing something, it's always like an actionable reason.
Yes.
Where it's like, even when he puts up a weird random story, it's always, I'm doing this for a reason. He's
Yeah.
not just like pissing around.
Yeah, it's purposeful.
So-
he's thought about it.
I've
Yeah.
got a buddy going through some stuff. I gotta tuck out real quick.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. That's good.
Yep.
So you are going in September? Is that the idea?
Well, I'll probably go out sooner.
When is he going?
September, I think.
Whenever he's going next, I'll probably go.
Okay.
Because I was planning on going with Scott in December.
Oh, okay.
So, but
Yeah, no,
obviously that didn't go.
Because like it would be good to get you out there, both to learn from Jamie and to learn from James, this new guy out there.
Well,
he
and-
starts tomorrow.
Yeah, it's also one of those things where if I am presumably going to be managing their shop, I should probably touch base.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
It's been a long time since I've seen Lee.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Almost 2 years.
Really?
Well, I haven't seen him since he left.
Oh yeah.
He did my foot in January, and then he left like the next day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, you should definitely get out there. Hey, it's gorgeous. I mean, I would avoid it right now because it's 45 degrees there.
it's gross everywhere.
Yeah.
I would
But-
avoid life right now.
Yeah, I know it's ridiculous. But yeah, that's I would definitely get out there. It's gonna be a bit of a, I don't know. You'll like it out there, but you'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot from them.
See, my thing is I've never been partial to this city.
Yeah, me neither.
So like if it weren't for certain things grounding me. Like if I was a single guy right now, I'd probably just move.
Oh yeah.
And then that would be as good a place as any.
Yeah. Oh, I'll probably be at some point in time. I'll probably be moving out there.
You think so?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I feel better out there. Like my biology just feels better.
Do you think it's a climate thing?
I have no idea. It could be
Or just
elevation, could be humidity. I don't know.
Lee always tells me the people are way better.
Well, that for sure.
But
Like
I
you
always
walk
think
around.
maybe he's just telling me that to try and charm me out there.
No, he and I talk about this all the time. When I'm walking around downtown Kelowna, I'm just like, oh, these are all me.
Yeah.
These are all like people that
They always says
that
there's none of this.
No, there's none of this nonsense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot of people that are kind of like young, higher median income, and chill.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can tell that province is just trying, or like that city is kind of attracting similar people, where it's just like either like they're big into weed or psychedelics, or they're just like kind of a chill vibe of person.
Yeah.
And not a lot of huge ego people. I mean, they're there, obviously, but just as a majority, it just seemed more relaxed. And,
Well, places have vibes, right?
Yeah.
It's like it used to be more prominent. Like,
Yeah.
like a New Yorker, right?
Yeah.
You know what that was right away.
Yeah.
I feel like that's gone away a little bit, but
Yeah, city having its own character,
think
because it's almost looked like that. I feel like people think that character thing is somehow negative,
yeah.
which I don't understand.
It's too individualistic or patriotic or something.
Sure, maybe it
When
kind
now
of leaves
we're
people out.
living a bit more abroad in general with the internet keeping us all kind of connected. It's a big homogenization of culture, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
So you don't have that individual spirit anymore so much. But yeah, I don't know. Lee has always told me it's much friendlier out there
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
and not as confrontational or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like people are trying to enjoy their lives. You know what I mean?
Imagine that.
Well, it's like I don't know why it seemed like such a foreign concept until I started hanging out there a little bit more. But like here, it's just like I feel like there's a lot of people trying to escape their lives.
Yeah.
They're just like, I don't know if it's the climate or I don't know what it is, but it's just like, those things where you go out to a bar and you just see like these little clusters of people getting like blackout drunk together.
Yep.
But like in their own little worlds. And then if those two
You see that everywhere here.
everywhere. And it's just
Everywhere.
like I don't get that. Like I like the idea of going out and being social and in trying to enjoy this existence that we have. And that doesn't happen here, which is really weird. Or if it does, it's in real small pockets.
The only time in my life I did that was when I was ironically at the worst time of my life.
Oh, really?
Right. Like I was doing like forcing myself into a social sphere to kind of keep myself alive.
Yeah.
Almost. Because if I just sat at home,
Yeah.
that probably wasn't
It's
enough.
depression and
Yeah. So it's like go out and at least be around people, even if they're not your people.
Yep.
Try and do that for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sometimes that's what you got to do, man. Just lean into it when you can.
yeah, which is strange because now I feel like I would do more of that, but we haven't been able to.
Yeah.
And now I don't know if most people would do that.
Oh, they would.
You think?
Like I've only gone out to restaurants a couple of times now, but it's a vibe. Like I've gone to one indoor since indoor opened up, and then a patio as well, and it was just like I don't know, people were really liking being out. It just seemed very happy.
You think that's got a short shelf life, or
I don't know.
it's like anytime you tell someone after 2 years or a year and a half of no, don't go out. Now you can go out. It's like you're going to have an initial bump of people going out. But
I would say it's probably like there's like a law of diminishing returns. So it's like if you've been kept under lock and key for a year and a half, 2 years, it's probably a quarter of that you get some sort of feeling of freedom. My guess is by the fall, winter kind of thing, it'll feel a little bit more normal if we don't get pushed back into something terrible. But
yeah,
that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, that's a topic for maybe never.
Oh
again.
yeah, thank God. Let's never talk about that again.
When Scott was, should we? It's like
No,
nope,
definitely not.
no, we've all had enough.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that people will start enjoying their lives a little bit more.
Yeah. It would be nice. I think if people enjoyed their lives a little more, we'd have less friction.
Yeah.
Because I always think, how do people have time to be this mad at one another?
Yeah, it's people have too much time and they're not doing anything with it.
Yeah, like my all of the time I have free, I want to go to building more stuff for my life and enjoying more parts of my life. And
well, that's like even with like distractions like TV and stuff. Like now with my friend group that I hang out with, when they're all like, we want to watch a movie or something, like we just sit and talk now, because it's like, I don't know, we had unlimited distraction for so long. It's just like
it gets kind of boring.
Yeah,
it's like during the first lockdown, my phone time went way up. I was at almost like 5 or 6 hours a day.
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's
I can't be on there that much.
No.
But now my phone time is like 45 minutes, and that's not me on the phone. That's like active times.
Yep.
So I go on there, do my shit, and get off.
Yep.
And I feel like having all that time free during COVID kind of made me disgusted in what's capable of your phones. Like,
yeah.
I kind of got tired of how much you can do on your phone and just go, yeah, but what else can you do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I don't want to do this all day. Like when I met my wife, I was kind of like, I don't want to sit together on the couch and both be on our phones.
No,
right?
That's a nightmare.
But kind of got into that a little bit during the lockdown because I was just like bored all the time.
Yeah.
And so now we're both just doing this, and I'm trying to pull out of that.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to do any of that anymore.
Well, I'm hoping that people are trying to pull out of that as a whole, because I tend to think that where most people lean is kind of, or like when someone's feeling something, it's not just them feeling it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like there's a group, or like it's like a social consciousness kind of thing that tends to dictate those things. So my hope is that if you're feeling that, then everybody else is feeling that. That's my hope.
I don't feel like I'm isolated, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like that's got to be a vibe, as I would say. But
I think the podcast changed things for me too.
Did it?
Yeah.
It actually did?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like I think I don't know, sitting around and talking is just, it's really good, and it's made me better at that. So I think it has changed my perspective on a few things.
I came into that from, I used to do this all the time.
Yeah.
And then I stopped doing it, and so it was like reworking an old muscle group.
Yeah, yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I'm good at this, but I haven't done it in a while, so I'm rusty.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've never done it on camera before, but I'll get there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it'll be easy enough once we get going.
That's all what she said.